Hey, if you've made it this far in the video and you are a real estate professional, consider partnering with me here at Real Brokerage. Pay nothing per month, get a fantastic split, and you have the opportunity to build a business through revenue share and stock purchases. Book a call at the link below in today's video, and I'm happy to have a conversation on why I was able to grow my business exponentially by moving my practice to Real Brokerage. All right, back to the video. All to the monthly mastermind call. I'm super excited that everyone here was able to be in attendance because you all are in for a treat. We have not one, but two high-level professionals and performers here at Real Broker, and both of them are my good friends, Mr. Daniel Reese and Mr. Malcolm Lawson. But before we get started, I want to kind of set the stage. Every one of these conversations, y'all, I want this to be strategic and impactful for you. We've got broker associates on this call. We've got middle career producers on this call, and we've got some fairly new licensees on this call as well as watching the replay. So I try to make sure that I don't go over anybody's head, but that I also don't provide you with content that you could pretty much get from any real estate book or YouTube video. One of the value adds that I believe that I bring to the table, which is why so many of you are here in partnership with me, and I'm extremely humbled by that because I deal with a little bit of imposter syndrome from time to time, but I have to remind myself that we're all purposed to be on this earth to help our fellow human being. And there's something that I bring to the table that's unique for me. And if it helps you in your business, then I've done my job. But I also realize that we're in a really weird time right now in real estate. We are technically shifting into a buyer's market according to the data. So we have to be empowered on how to move and shake in the current environment that we're in. I don't get into politics or anything like that. That's a personal choice for each individual here. But I will say that there are some things happening in Washington that can potentially affect what's going on with the real estate market. So Mr. Daniel Reese, my Georgia lender partner, is going to kind of walk through where interest rates are right now, some of the things that he's seeing in the market, and then down payment assistance programs that are out there that his partnership here with as a lender manager here with Real Broker can be of value to you and any other buyers that you're working with. But Daniel has partnerships in all 50 states or almost all 50 states. So regardless of where you are on this call, more than likely we have a presence on the mortgage side of things with One Real Mortgage. And then Mr. Malcolm Lawson, who is the number one person that has to do with all things real as far as YouTube is concerned. He and I have been in partnership for a very long time now, and he's going to help us talk about real to other real estate agents. Obviously, in this business, if you close any level of business or have gotten close to the closing table or even calling other agents to talk about the listing that they have that you're getting ready to show, those individuals, when I call, I always say, hey, this is Marvin with Real Broker. Wanted to check and see if this property is available on 123 Banana Street. Oftentimes, an agent on the other end will ask me about Real Broker and how do I like it there and all kinds of stuff, because you just never know who is in a place in their business where they're kind of stuck right now. So I think that this is going to be very impactful for you to be on to the entire extent of the call. So if you got to drop off, that's fine. But really try to stay on this call for the entire time so that you get value from it. And without further ado, we'll get things started with Mr. Daniel Reese. Mr. Daniel, you there?
Yeah, you got me?
All right. Yes, sir. I see you. And you got the sun shining behind you. You're looking real crispy right now. So go ahead, take the floor.
Yeah, I guess, sorry, I'm not at work right now. I'm technically staying in Young Harris in like North Carolina area. A developer of mine invited me over and we're taking videos of a bunch of units that are finished up here. But yeah, it might be a little bit blind behind me. Good morning, and thank you for having me. And nice to see everyone. Well, awesome. Well, again, thanks for having me. Introduction for myself. My wife and I are both agents with Real, and we've been realtors for about 12 years, been with Real for about 3 or 4. And then I started doing the mortgage side in 2019, 2020, and we basically separated and made a team at that and hired a TC. And then I have a licensed loan officer who's my assistant as well. And then another hired like processor. And we kind of built from there to where I would focus kind of on the loan side and she would focus on the real estate side. Granted, a lot of it gets blurred. But ultimately, I kind of just wanted to go over a couple of things that I've seen winning, because technically for me, it's kind of been, well, Q1 was a little bit slower, and that's when I kind of noticed some agents like pulling back and more or less just giving some examples where I'm finding agents that are like creating buyers and finding buyers rather than, hey, my phone's not ringing, I need to pay a lead source, or I need to, pay whenever I close and figure that out. 3 of them were programs. Well, one's actually just knowledge. Biggest weapon is 401k. No one seems to know that you can use this without having a tax penalty and without bringing out any penalty from their workplace, and basically pay interest to yourself for almost all of the programs. So I've had a couple of folks that have really been like focusing in on that, because there's a ton of people that are like, I don't have any money down, no way for me to buy a home. I got to pay $2,500 for rent, and they have 6 figures in their 401k. And it's just simple knowledge that they don't know, because not everyone would know it. And it's like, oh, well, now I do have a buyer that does have a reason that wants to move as well. We have a 1% down program, and it only goes up to $350,000 for that program. But to handle the objection whenever folks are like, I just don't have money, it definitely is more of a buyer's market. And they're getting, last like 10 contracts I have, I feel like buyers are getting all of their closing costs. So if it's just direct money out of pocket, man, 1% down isn't that difficult to come up with, this inspection and appraisal money. And if it is that difficult, we actually have a 0 down, and it's a FHA loan, and it's a 3.5% grant. So that one is instantly forgiven, and there's no like prepayment penalty or any rules to catch it at the end. And again, it's able to get up to 6% closing costs. So you're able to have every seller closing cost covered, to where it's like, okay, is it just payment is the only issue? Because you're going to pay a payment somewhere, right? And effectively, teaching and coaching and finding buyers, because there's just not a heck of a lot out of there, because the affordability isn't ideal. They've been saying that interest rates are supposed to go down for the last like year and a half straight, or 2 years, and they were on a good trajectory to go down before a little shakeup happened in January. And I guess with tariffs and stuff going on, their inflationary practices. So no one's really got a clear set, oh, interest rates are going to be 1% down next month, or 6 months. And you don't want to be that agent that is currently hand caught in the cookie jar that's like, oh, date the rate, buy the home, you can just refi in a year. Well, those agents are eating their words 2 years later, whenever people are like, hey, my insurance and my taxes went up, I can't afford to live in this home you sold me. And especially if they're in areas where home values went down, and now they're literally trapped in a home they bought 2 years ago. So you just want to come up with more creative ways to help someone actually get a home, while also not, using a flashy and gimmicky way that can come back to haunt you. And I wouldn't pretend to be the expert on interest rates, and I am the expert on interest rates. I wouldn't even pretend to do that. We really knew where they were going to be and how quick it was going to be. You're able to go on the stock market and be a billionaire. You're able to bet on it. You're able to bet on any of it. So ideally, interest rates have somewhat been trending down the last 2 months, but until we have more stability in a global market, all financial markets, and we're not talking about firing our federal chair, and there's not tariffs going back and forth, I think there's just going to be a little bit of instability going on, and most likely some home prices going down. I've also seen agents actually network together to find more deals, to where I've seen it to where agents who have multiple listings can't possibly do them, and agents that don't have open houses are coming and being like, hey, let me get there to get buyers. Or even if they can't do it, they're helping their team, like someone that they know who's looking for open houses, and connecting and making more of a network. And now is a perfect time. If it's slow time or anything like that, networking and jumping on market share should be your priorities. Even if it's something that's not going to get you money directly, saying hey to Malcolm Lawson a year and a half ago might have profited me today, and seeing him back in here, So you just want to use it, look for opportunity, even if it's not your opportunity. Specifically, look for any opportunity to help anyone, because ideally, all of us want to sit in the same Zoom, just have money and we're still doing the same job and making more money in a year from now, right? So even if it's not an opportunity for me to help, specifically with Tara, where it's I might see a listing in Birmingham and I'm like, cool, I have someone in Birmingham now. So I just wrote down this note. So I don't know how to get in touch with her yet, but I'm sure I can find it, and be able to send something if I see that, and just taking note of any opportunity, even if it's not for yourself, because it could come around, right? And then other than that, the people that have actually I've seen the majority of agents say it's slow, but the people that are like dominating and doing really good are doing so specific community, both on the internet and on foot, where they're going and they're like really going to business meetups. They're going and sitting down with business owners, especially of new businesses. They're shooting videos and they're putting them on YouTube, hashtagging specifically for this is Woodstock. This is the new ice cream place in Woodstock. This is the police department in Woodstock. This is the mayor of Woodstock. And like really putting those videos out. But at the same time, you know, the school, the teachers, the police, they're all seeing you go around and meeting everyone. And they're like dominating in that aspect just in general, because everyone in the community knows who you are, you know, whenever you're doing that. And then effectively on foot, you're able to get all these videos and then you're able to translate that and put it on social media, whichever medium you use, and kind of use that to market, hey, I'm the expert here. Like, this is what I do. Like, not only am I going to tell you what a home's worth, like I'll tell you about Bill, who lives 2 doors down. He owns the ice cream shop that he opened after his wife went over here. Like, whenever you're able to have that kind of expertise, knowledge, and see it, like people see it and come to you. People you don't know would be like, that's how you get DMs in Facebook and like, hi, you're a realtor, right? Like, okay, yeah, cool. You've seen something where it works. But sorry, that was a lot in there. But those 5 things have really been like the biggest difference I've seen from folks that are still like moving along and they're just kind of sighing that it is a little bit slow, and the difference between folks that have just, you know, unfortunately turned in their license or just moved to focus on a different career lately. But I think that's all I can really think of off the top of my hand. Any questions?
Sonia has a question. Go ahead, Sonia.
On your 0 down 3.5% grant, is that interest rate going to be higher than?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the downside of it. The conventional one downside is the 350 cap. It is 7.7% for the FHA 0 down if you're a 580 credit score, which it goes down to, or an 800 credit score. It doesn't matter which one you are. It's always a set rate with it. But I've ran the math, since you do get the 3.5% granted for you and it's completely paid. And on any number that you run it on, the 3.5% actually beats out the interest rate, like the better interest rate if you were at 5.9 on FHA over 18 or 20 months. So as long as you can refinance out of it within that time, you're still technically profiting by having it. But then also, you know, with every good, there is a little bad. If you're going to get a free $15,000, the payment's not going to also be low.
And secondly, what does the buyer have to live in the property a certain time frame?
No. So I know there's a couple programs where you like have to be there for 5 years or 10 years, or you have to make a certain amount of payments before it's back. And this is not one of them. They do have to live in the home before they refi or move for 1 year, just 1 year in general, but there's no like prepayment penalty. And technically, if there's a valid life change within that year, then it can be excluded. You know, if you like lose your job and you have to do something rather than, oh, I made a rental, or, you know, I want to go somewhere. So it doesn't have those strict requirements after the loan is there to come back and claw that money back.
And then just to confirm, you said the credit score could go down to 580?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And talk, Daniel, just here quickly, we got just a few more moments. Talk about the benefit of having your MLO license and being a realtor here at Real Brokerage. If you can talk super quickly about that, then we'll let Malcolm jump in.
Yeah, I mean, well, for me, you know, I've really embraced it fully. So there's different kind of tiers you could go and use it. At first, my very first set of CE was getting my appraiser's license, because I didn't realize you don't have to go to board classes. You can go get appraiser's license, and that counts for realtor CE. And that's the same with LO license. So whenever I came time to do CE again, I was like, why don't I just get another license instead of doing CEs, and I'll keep adding that. Turned out I liked the loan part more than I liked the realtor side. I mean, obviously, I still hold open houses and such where it makes sense, as I can get someone approved on an iPad right there in person, you know. But it's helped a lot, especially for our dynamic and being married with children. It's really helped to where, you know, if a buyer needs to see something and we have other plans, it's really dope if I can jump up and do something if she's already doing something with the kids and whatnot. But ultimately, a majority of it's like inverse schedule too, to where the majority of my stuff is going on from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m., whereas a majority of the realtor stuff kind of starts around 3 and then goes into the night, or is in the weekends where a majority of my stuff isn't there other than quick pre-approvals. But they set it up at Real to where you can kind of pick and choose if you actually want to be a loan officer or not. Like they have something called Real Originate where you can get your loan officer license and effectively, yeah, you're able to give out a link with your finance application, and you're able to have an internal loan officer like do everything, and you can sit back, watch and learn and, you know, mentor if you want, or you can just hand them the link and they just pay you, to where if you close a $300,000 home, they give you $1,500. One Real Mortgage does, because you're a licensed loan officer and a partner, not a referral fee. So they set it up like that to where I have some agents that are like, yeah, cool, I just want extra money. Like this is a good way for us to pay referral fees that are illegal to each other. And then I have other agents that just want to know a little bit more so they can kind of guide folks along the way. And then I have agents that now are like, I actually want to be a loan officer, and they're effectively like mentoring. And while they're working the real estate side, they're also jumping back and looking at the loan side while we're processing all of the loans and stuff, which, I mean, there's a ton of helpful knowledge that you could have in there in general. You don't want to trip yourself up by any means, but especially if you're like looking at homes and you know which loan you're working with, and you know this will or will not be accepted if you see some damage and stuff like that, it can be super helpful just to know your way around.
And that's powerful, y'all. Other brokerages, you have to choose what side of the ball you want to be on, and you can only be compensated from that side. So a lot of the couples and stuff like that, like you mentioned, Daniel, one will have the real estate license, one will have the MLO, but that may not be the situation for everybody. Having the ability personally to diversify myself, and I'm almost done with my MLO program, but having the ability to diversify myself, especially if I have someone when interest rates do eventually, if they ever do go down, that may want to sit tight in the home that they're in, but maybe they bought the home, you know, at a 7% interest rate, and now they want to refinance it down to a 4 or 5. I can still get paid on that because I have my MLO license, and it just turns into a way that you can never not get paid from any transaction that you're a part of, being not only a real estate professional, but now also have your MLO license. So that's incredibly powerful. And other brokerages, again, they don't allow you to do it, but Real has structured it in a way that you're able to do it and stay compliant. So that's awesome. If you have any questions for Daniel, how can folks get in touch with you, Daniel?
Yeah, I can drop my cell phone and email over in the chat, and then my IG handle real quick.
All right, so keep an eye out on the chat. And Erin was asking specifically about having her MLO license. Before I let you go, let's say a person is like brand new and they got their MLO license. Is there an amount of time that one has to wait before they get involved? Because I know that's a little unique as far as active producers or folks that have a track record of real estate sales and all that stuff on the loan side of things. How does that work if a person does decide they want to go ahead and get the MLO license?
We do have the production requirement where I believe they're looking for like 8 closings over the past 12 months on the buy side to join into like the Real Originate program. And unless someone is like looking for full-time loan officer at that point, then they're looking for 1 or 2 closings a month, I believe, for the past 12 months on there. But they do have production requirements. So you don't want to, get pumped and be like, Joe, if I can make money there, but you just got your realtor license 2 months ago and you're still figuring out everything. You don't want to jump in too much too soon, because then you'll get overwhelmed and effectively we won't be able to put you on the team and everything. So we do have those production requirements, but there's also compensating factors across the board, because I have an agent who has no deals in their name for the past 12 months, but they're a team lead, and they hand out like their application is shared by all of their team for all of their buyers, and it all goes into one pot, and the team leader buys more leads with it and like fills it out to everybody. So effectively, even though their production requirement doesn't make it, like there's other people that are their production requirement to go in. So it kind of depends on the setup, but ultimately, we will take in compensating factors and everything like that.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Well, we appreciate you, Daniel. All right. Well, we want to move right along, and be sure to get Daniel's information in the chat. Like I said, even though he's licensed in Georgia and a few states in the Southeast, he has partnerships with One Real Mortgage in pretty much every state that Real is present, and we're in almost all 50 states. So if he will, for respect out of time, I'll let Malcolm jump in, and then Daniel, we got some questions in the chat, so you can just go in and answer those. Put your questions in the chat, and Daniel will answer them there. But without further ado, Mr. Malcolm Lawson, I appreciate you being on the call. I think Malcolm's beard is a little more epic than mine, and he just got back from Scotland or Ireland.
Scotland.
Yeah, Scotland. So one of the ways that he's able to do that is because of the way that he's built his business, and I know he's going to talk through that. But if you looked at Real in any capacity through YouTube, you have seen this gentleman's smiling face. So I'm extremely humbled again that he's on this call here today, and he's going to answer all of your questions about Real. We've got some folks on the call that are also looking under the hood at Real. They're at other places. So without further ado, Mr. Malcolm, take it away.
All right. Well, yeah, guys, I'm really excited to talk to you about agent attraction today. You know, Marvin and I go back, a good while collaborating and masterminding, and I love what he's doing building this community. And so I personally hold a record for attracting the most agents personally in the entire company. I have over 140 agents in my tier 1 right now. And I want to start off kind of telling you a little bit about like my story of kind of how I got to where I'm at right now. So I've been with Real for 5 years now. And kind of a big part of the story is that I have one son. He's got very severe intellectual disabilities and autism. He's 10 years old now. He's nonverbal. And I actually had my divorce the month before I joined Real. Right, the first few months in this company, I quickly realized just how hard it is to be a single parent and a real estate agent at the same time. And I really struggled with that. And my production absolutely suffered, in 2021, just trying to balance being a single parent. During those first few months I was here, I was like, okay, I need to find another way. I need to find some other stream of income. And that's when I decided to really start focusing on agent attraction and helping grow this company. And so in 2021, it was 2,000 agents when I joined, and we're in about 32 states. And I'm a bit of a one-trick pony. Like, YouTube is really the only thing I know how to do. I don't really know how to do really anything else. I'm not very good at sales. I'm good at marketing, but pretty bad at sales. And so I started making YouTube videos about Real. And in 2021, when nobody's searching for Real Broker or only 2,000 agents, it didn't work. I put a lot of time and effort, and it just didn't work. But I just kept with it. I knew, like, as soon as this company grows a little bit more, gets a little bit more popular, then the strategy is going to work. And I kept making videos. And in 2022, Real got to about 4,000 agents. And it still didn't work. Nobody's searching for Real Broker in 2022. And then but the thing is, though, I had conviction, knew that YouTube could work. And I knew if I just kept with it, hopefully it would finally, pay off for me. And so I kept up with the YouTube videos. And in 2023, it started working a little bit. And in October 2023, we got into all 50 states. And I feel like that was kind of a big milestone that really kind of validated this company and this model. And then in 2024, my network just blew up. Everybody's searching for Real Broker. They're asking questions about it. And I had 3 years of YouTube videos stacked up. And like 2024 completely changed the trajectory of my life and my business. So, and yeah, it's working very well now, the YouTube strategy. And so in 2024, revenue share finally became a full-time income for me. And I would define that as about $100,000 a year. I started making that in 2024. Now I'm about 5 years in. I've made about $250,000 in the last 12 months, all passive income from revenue share. So I'm getting about $25,000 a month from agent attraction. And there's a couple of things I like about this story. One is that it shows that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme, right? It took me 3 years of trying and failing before I was able to actually, fully replace my income from revenue share. And even when I was in this period where I was failing miserably at it, there's this one business lesson that I learned a long time ago that really has helped me out. And it's the saying that the secret to success is that you fail, and then you fail again, and then you keep failing, and then you're successful. Right? You need those failures to succeed. You don't just jump right to being successful from the get-go. You need to fail along that way. That is the only way you're going to grow and only way you're going to learn. And I remember I was telling myself that in 2021, 2022, 2023, is like, okay, I'm just in that failing part of this overall process. I know if I keep up with it, it's going to pay off for me. And I think, obviously I built my network through YouTube. I actually don't recommend that for most of you, for any of you. It's a very hard strategy. But there is a lot of other strategies that you can use that I absolutely believe you come up with the business model and you stick with that business model for years like I did, and you constantly are trying to improve it and keep up with it. I absolutely think like a revenue share could replace any of your incomes in the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And so I've got some training that I put together, and I'm going to get really tactical, really like specific in how you guys can build a business model around agent attraction and around revenue share that can ultimately replace your income. And again, I really look at this from the perspective of a digital marketer. That's what I am. And in digital marketing, there's a concept known as a sales funnel. And sales funnels, how I look at it, I think it's absolutely applicable to what we're doing. It can be broken up into 3 sections. So top of funnel is how somebody initially discovers you. And so think about your business. If you're running Facebook ads for your real estate business, that's top of funnel. Middle of funnel, I see this as how do you stay in front of a person for weeks, for months, for years? Because getting somebody to switch brokerages is a lot like getting somebody to buy a house. It could take them 6 months. It could take them 12 months. So you need something in order to stay in front of those people for months, for years, until they're ready to make that move. And then bottom of funnel is how do you actually close the deal? How do you actually make them take action and join the company? And so I'm going to go over very tactical, specific ways that you guys can implement all 3 of these parts of a sales funnel into your business. And I actually recommend that you start focusing on the bottom of funnel, right? How do you actually have that conversation with agents and get them to sign up and join Real? And I recommend you focus here first, because many of you, like Marvin said, you're going to have transactions and people are going to ask you about Real. You're going to have friends who are going to ask you about Real. You need to know how to handle those conversations and actually present Real in a way that makes them want to join. And I love this quote. This is from Alex Hormozy, and he says a good sales call comes down to being a subject matter expert and asking good questions. That's it. That's all that you need to know. This is also applicable to like buyer consultations and listing presentations as well. Be a subject matter expert, ask good questions. And so I think the first step, if you guys really want to focus on agent attraction, is going to be educating yourself on Real's value proposition. And when I think about the different knowledge that we have here at Real and all the questions that people ask me about this company, you can really divide it into 3 different categories. One is going to be everything in the slide deck. And I say everything in the slide deck, I want you to memorize. I want you to know. I want you to know how agents can hit elite agent and how much the stock worth it is. You should know what all the different fees are. You should understand the revenue share program, all the 4 ways to earn free stock in this company. Everything in that slide deck, I want you to know and be able to recite that to somebody who asks you questions about it. Because you may get a team leader that is interested in joining Real. They may start asking you questions. If you can't answer those questions, they're not going to join under you. If you can't answer their questions, they're going to find somebody else who can. So it's really important that this basic information that's in the slide deck, that you actually know this stuff inside and out. And you can, a great way is just watch my YouTube videos, kind of going over it. But I also kind of recommend that, they said the best way to learn is to teach. And you actually recording a video yourself, explaining the slide deck, explaining all the information in there, I think that's also really beneficial. The next category information is when you're just the source of the source, right? You need to know where to find answers to questions that people have. And I'm going to show you some resources that you can use for that. And then the final category is going to be like support. So if somebody's asking me for like a broker's contact information in their state or some really specific question, I just reach out to support. I talk to support probably weekly with questions. And so these are kind of the 3 broad area categories of questions. And here's 9 websites that I recommend that you guys bookmark, right? And I have all of these in a folder on my bookmark bar that says Real, and I have all of these bookmarked, and I reference these websites often, especially when I'm on these agent attraction calls. And so the first one, it's going to be support.therealbrokerage.com. So they have articles going over every question you have, they have an article in here. So if you type in something like, what I often use this for is like mentorship program Maryland, right? It'll give you a breakdown of like the mentorship program that we have here in Maryland. And then you can even see the available mentors in Maryland. So if I'm on a conversation with somebody, I can pull this up and show them like, hey, here's the available mentors in Maryland.
I think it's important to remember, everybody here, is this is a part of your business. This is only if you're interested in diversifying yourself beyond belly to belly transactions, helping folks buy and helping folks sell. People are moving around, especially as we go into the summer ending here. Folks are deciding, hey, maybe the brokers they were with is no longer available and they just moved to another state. Maybe they were with a smaller brokerage and now they're looking for something cloud-based because the cloud-based model is in all 50 states. But ultimately, remember that you're not required, like some other brokerages, you're not required to quote unquote try to recruit people. Like that's not why I joined Real. That's not what Real is about. As a matter of fact, they push back against that mantra that's unfortunately some other brokerages are known for. But if you're having success here, we've got a capper here on the line, Mr. Khaled, who just capped in record time, and he talked about how this has been his best year yet since joining Real. Right, there are a lot of individuals having success here at this brokerage. For me personally as well, production-wise, this has been one of my biggest years, and it's because of the speed at which I'm able to get things done. I hate friction in my business. I hate it. And Real has been one of the most frictionless brokerages that you could be at to carry your business. And we have to pay that forward and help other agents do that. So that was just my little takeaway. And Malcolm, I see you're back with your camera too.
Yeah, I've got my backup camera here on my laptop. Yeah, let me share this slide again. So yeah, support.realbrokerage.com, fantastic website. Store.onereal.com. This is where you can buy merch and business cards and signs. I like sending this to people because one of the common objections is, well, I got to get new business cards and signs. I'd be like, dude, no problem. We've got templates already made up. Here's a link to all the templates. The agent attraction slide deck, you can find this in Rezen and then go to marketing and then agent attraction. You can find the official slide deck that we have. I think Marvin linked to it as well. Your referral link. So everybody has a custom referral link that if somebody signs up through that link, you'll automatically get credit for them being in your downline as long as they don't name anybody else as their sponsor. So it's still helpful to send that just in case people forget to put your name down on the ICA. Realbenefits.com. This is where you can find out about our health insurance and dental insurance and that kind of stuff that Real Broker offers. The state resource page. This is another one I often visit. And again, this is in marketing and then agent attraction. So every state has a specific page on here. And in here, you'll find all the marketing requirements for that specific state, as well as the broker's contact information. And so here's all the marketing requirements for that state, the broker's contact info, and they can also have templates for signs and business cards and everything that they need to know. And you can send this link out to other people. Investors.onereal.com. Fantastic website, bunch of really great resources and presentations on there. And then on my own website, next-genagent.com, I built a fee calculator. So something that I built where somebody can enter in how many deals a year they do, their average sales price, their average sales commission percentage, and then what cap they're on. And this is assuming that they also want lofty. It'll calculate exactly how many deals a year they need to exactly how much it would cost them in fees here at Real, how many deals they would need to cap, and then how many deals they would need to hit elite agent. So on most of my calls, I literally pull up this calculator and I show this to people. And it's just on my website, so anybody can actually come here and use this. And then I also built a rev share calculator as well. And again, this is up on my website, next-genagents.com. And you select, their cap and then how many agents are in each tier of for revenue share, and I give you an estimate, based on like the maximum that they can make in revenue share. So I really love showing this, especially to team leaders. As a team leader, you can set it to a $6,000 cap to see how much they would get for their team members. So these are all the websites that I recommend that you keep bookmarked on your browser so that you can easily reference these. So now let's talk about how do you actually master that conversation that you have with agents. Somebody's interested in Real, and you invite them out to coffee, you sit down. How do you actually have that conversation with them? And I actually stole this from Sharon, like with his permission, of course. This was part of a training that he did, and I really like how he presents this. And he says that there's essentially 4 phases to a attraction call, or 4 phases. The first one is what he calls the reporter phase. And I think this is the most important phase. This is where you ask them good questions about their business. And this is where you really learn about what their needs are, where they're at, what they're struggling with. So this reporter phase is really important. Probably about half of my agent attraction calls is just me getting them talking to me, right? I just want them to talk to me about what their goals are, where they want to be, what they're struggling, what they like about Real, what they don't like about the current brokerage. I want them to tell me everything. That's half of my call, is just getting them to talk. You know, there's this really interesting psychological principle that's in sales, that if somebody feels like you fully understand what their problem is, they are more likely to assume that your solution will fix that problem. And so you want to fully understand all of their struggles. And that's about half of my call, is just getting them talking about what they're looking for. The next phase in this model is the mentor phase. And so this is where you're sharing your experience. And you're like, you know, for me, I came over to Real and I love this community and I learned so much. So it's just you sharing your experience. And rather than you telling them, dude, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're like, no, this is what I did. I came over here and I benefited from this. Then you have the consulting phase, and this is where you kind of put all the pieces together. You're like, well, you know, man, I think that you'd really benefit from the training that we have here. And you said you have a team. Well, we have this pro team model, and your team members have a $6,000 cap, $12,000 cap. You kind of put everything together. And then the coaching phase is just like the last 2 minutes. It's just essentially you making a recommendation to them, right? Whether you're recommending Real to them or not. And, you know, this whole thing, it's more of a discovery process, and you need to frame it that way, that I don't really know if Real is the right fit for you or not. Let's have a conversation. And by the end of it, I'll let you know if I think Real would be a good fit for your business. And if it's not, I'll let you know. That's really how you want to frame this. And so the very first part, the reporter phase, right? You want to ask good questions. And there's really 4 questions that I like to ask. The first question is, I say, like, hey man, so what does your business look like today? Or where are you at in your real estate career today? And I just want an overview, where they're at, how long they've been in, what brokerage they're at, what they're doing for lead generation, what their production looks like. Just give me all that information. And usually just this one question, they'll tell me all that. And then I like to ask them, so what prompted you to want to explore other brokerages? And this is really trying to get at what their pain points are. And when I ask them this, often tell me stuff like, well, you know, I'm paying my broker $30,000, $40,000 a year. And it's, you know, I'm not really getting $40,000 a year worth of value. Or maybe they'll talk about how they really want to level up, but they're not getting the kind of training that they really need. But this is really to focus on what their pain points are. And then this is a really important question. Where do you want to be in 5 years? And so if you're talking to like a new agent who they just want to be a full-time income in 5 years, I wouldn't talk to them about the elite agent program. I wouldn't talk to them about the revenue share program or the mentorship program or becoming a mortgage lender, any of those things. I would talk to them about the training, the community, the tools. But if I'm talking to somebody that's been in for 20 years and they want to retire in 5 years, then I'm going to talk to them about all those things. And so these questions really kind of help me understand where to take that conversation and what topics I actually talk about. And then another question I like to throw in is like, what's most important to you in a brokerage that you choose to work with? And some people will tell you like, community is really important to me, or you know, culture is really important to me, or technology is really important to me, or training. They'll just straight up tell you and be like, perfect, great. I'm going to talk about that now for the next 30 minutes. So this is really, it makes them feel like you really understand them better, and it helps you kind of navigate where to take the rest of the conversation. And then, so I mentioned the next phase was going to be the mentorship phase. And this is where you share your own story, your own experience. And you want to use phrases like, you're a lot like me, or for me, I've found in my experience, or you remind me of my friend Marvin. You know, these are some common phrases that you want to use in here, and really to share your own experience and how you've personally benefited from being at Real. This is like the second biggest section of it. And then the consulting phase is this, you kind of putting everything together. Like, yeah, I think you really benefit from this and you benefit from that, and you'd be saving this much money. And then the coaching phase is really my goal at the end of the conversation is to say this one sentence right here. Well, because you said that community is most important to you, I think Real would be a good fit for you. Or because you said technology is really important to you, I think Real will be a good fit for you. So this sentence right here is really what you want to get to at the end of the conversation. Another nice little saying is the next step. So, whether you recommend it to them or not, sometimes I actually don't recommend Real to certain people, depending on their circumstances. But if I do, I'm going to say, great, man, well, the next step. And then tell them what the next step is, whether you're going to book another call with somebody, or you're going to meet up with them in person, or you're going to send them a link for them to sign up. This is a really great way to end any kind of conversation, is telling somebody the next step. Bam Fam is something that Sharon really likes teaching. It's book a meeting from a meeting. Now, the next phase, it's going to be the middle of funnel. So let's say you have a conversation with somebody, they're not quite ready to join. How do you stay in front of that person for months? How do you stay in front of that person for a year, 2 years? It's very similar to real estate. If I give you $1 million home buyer, but he's not ready for 12 months, how do you stay in front of that person? And that's really where middle funnel comes into play. And I'm just going to go over a couple of quick examples of that. I got about 10 minutes left. So one thing that I personally do for middle funnel, I know Marvin does as well, is I send out a weekly email of all the free masterminds in the Real Academy. So our masterminds are completely open to anybody who wants to join in. And so I have an email list, and I send out a list of trainings that I recommend. You can meet up with them in person. So if it's somebody that you know, make a calendar reminder. Once a month, you're going to take this person out for coffee. It could be that simple. Or out for lunch, just find a way to meet up with them in person. You creating a rock star list. So I have a folder on my browser of agents I really want to join. And how I follow up with them is I go on their Facebook pages and I just engage with their content. I see what their latest post is, and I type a comment and I just engage with their content just to stay in front of them. I think it's a fantastic way to stay in front of people. And then you also creating content yourself. Let's say you meet an agent at an open house, get them to follow you on Instagram. You follow them. And then when you create content, you're going to be showing up in your feed. Marvin, what you got?
Oh, when you're done, I wanted to play Angel's Advocate here and kind of address some, while I have you on the call here, some common hater statements that I hear from certain agents about Real and how you respond to them, which I think will be helpful for other people when you're done.
Okay. Yeah, let me give me a couple more minutes. I'll go over some top of funnel ideas as well. All right. The single greatest post that you can make for agent attraction on social media is going to be you tapping into the community. This is the single best post. So see this post right here. I went to the New York City event and I took a bunch of photos there with everybody. And I made this a post about how amazing Real is, how much of a great time I'm having in New York City. And I had a team leader call me up after this and join. And she specifically told me, she's like, I saw your post about New York and you guys look like you're having so much fun up there. And I just want to be part of that. I want to be part of that. And this type of content of you tapping into the community and showing that you're in this community, single greatest post that you can make for Facebook. All right. So the final phase is going to be top of funnel. How do you have more conversations with agents? And for me, I do social media and YouTube, but I'm going to give you a couple other really great ideas. So first off, every transaction is an opportunity to have a conversation with the other agent. I have one agent in my network. What she does is she hosts broker opens. She'll have a broker open for her listings and then personally call up every agent that she knows in the area and invites them to the broker open. At this one, she actually had a professional photographer at her broker open who took portrait pictures of everybody who showed up. This is kind of how she incentivizes agents to go to her broker open. Building a big brand, I think, is a great way. And networking events, hosting events. So you could I've seen agents host big annual events, see agents hosting medium-sized monthly events. But what I really love is like a weekly lunch and learn, or people are doing this thing called a Real Cafe, where every single week they're like, hey, Thursdays at 10 a.m., I'm going to be at this coffee house, open invitation. Anybody want to come, sit down, mastermind with me, network with other agents every single Tuesday or every Thursday at 10 a.m. at this coffee house. And it's a great thing to invite people to. And probably one of my favorite ones is going to open houses. So every open house has agents there, and you could go and set a goal of, hey, every weekend, I'm going to go to 5 open houses. And when I go there, I'm just going to have conversations with those agents. I'm going to build relationships with them, and I'm going to add all of them on social media. And that could be your entire strategy right there, is that you go to open houses on the weekends, you add them to social media, and then you set lunch dates. And every single month you try to take them out for lunch, or you invite them out for coffee. And that could be your entire business strategy. And if you did that and you worked on getting 1% better every single day that you do that, in 3 years, you could completely replace your income with revenue share, just like I have. I genuinely believe that. All right, that's all I got. What kind of questions do you have, Marvin?
So, and appreciate you, Malcolm, man, for kind of breaking it all down. So talk to that agent that is so used to being in an office, for example, and they're like, oh, but Malcolm, I've heard about these cloud-based brokerages. What does that even mean? I'm used to being in an office. I won't be able to reach anybody if I need help with a transaction. That's one of the questions that I get quite often. How would you respond to what a cloud-based model can do for your business?
Yeah, so first I'd tell people that I actually feel way more connected with the community here at Real than I ever did at my brick and mortar brokerage. I used to go into the office and I'd be the only one there, where I go in for training, but it's not really set up for like building community or networking. Here at Real, I can log in and tap into any number of different communities that we have here at Real and really tap into that and connect with people, kind of find my tribe of people, find the people that, I want to learn from, whether that's sales or social media or video. And then in terms of support, I think we've got some of the best support in the industry, and we really leverage technology to provide better support to our agents. And if I was talking to somebody, then I'd pull up my phone here, and I'd go to the agent app and I'd show them like, yeah, look right here on every single transaction, there's a call broker button. And if you call the broker from this button, it's actually going to record the entire conversation and then save that conversation in the transaction. So you can go back and listen to it as well. And I could just kind of go on about support and how we provide really high level support here at the company as well.
Okay. Well, Malcolm, I'm at a brokerage where I get secret sauce. I'm part of a special upline at my brokerage, and they give me all kind of secret sauce. What can Real do that I can't get from my secret sauce upline at XYZ brokerage?
Yeah, so I mean, Real, we've just got a different model, right? And I see us as sort of a second generation cloud brokerage. And at our model, we really focus on collaboration and community. And so instead of having all these separated individual communities that are all competing against one another, we have one big community, and everybody here has access to everybody else's training. And it's just one community here. And it's just really a focus of a culture on collaboration. And so we have some of the top agents in the country when it comes to social media and video and sales. And you have access to all of their training, all of their information. Nothing is hidden away. Nothing's behind a paywall. You get full access to everybody. And we have any number of different masterminds and training that you'll get access to once you make that move. Something like that.
And the last hater comment, anybody else, feel free to jump in if you have any questions about how you can better understand the brokerage that you're at, or if you're considering Real, maybe learning more about what Real can do for you, because that's what this conversation is about. Yeah, it's about what Real can do for your fellow agent. But when a person says, for example, Malcolm, I own my own indie brokerage, I'm a broker, I don't want to lose my identity by joining another brokerage. Talk a little bit about how broker associates and indie brokerage owners in general can still maintain, their identity at a place like Real.
Yeah, so we actually have a lot of independent brokerages that join Real. And what a lot of them report is that, one, they're saving money, but most importantly, they're saving a lot of time. So a lot of time with things like compliance and dealing with supporting the agents and training the agents. They get all that time back. Real Broker is going to take care of all of that. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we actually have a program called Private Label, where your brokerage can actually join Real and not advertise or market that you're with the company at all. So it doesn't have to be in any of your signs or any of your logos or on the MLS. It'll all keep your broker identity. So it's definitely an option for you. However, you did mention before that you're interested in agent attraction and growing a big network here and attracting other brokers. And what I find is that you actually advertising that you are with Real will help you in your efforts to have more conversations with agents about joining Real. So it private label is definitely the right fit for some people. If you really want to focus on agent attraction, I don't know if it's really the best, what I would really recommend. I think you being proud to be at Real and telling everybody is actually going to help you in your attraction efforts more.
I love that. I love that. On day one, what would you tell someone that's brand new to Real to make sure that they do to get their business up and running as quickly as possible, especially for those of us that have listings we're bringing over, clients we're bringing over? What would you recommend a person do in their first 30 days at Real?
Yeah, really, I'd say tap into the community and really tap into those weekly masterminds that we have. So we got the Rev B mastermind, which is every Monday. I highly recommend that one. And then there's Trends and Tactics mastermind every Tuesday. I highly recommend that one as well. I think on Wednesday, there's one all about sales. And it's Zoom calls just like this, where you can interact and ask questions and really tap into that community. The community is really where we have a lot of that value. And then I'd say really dive into the tech, play around with Leo, and kind of really understand all the tools and resources that are actually at your disposal here at Real.
Okay. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, if anyone doesn't have any questions here, I hope that this conversation and this monthly call has been very empowering for you. Ultimately, wherever you are in your business, I think there's something that you can take away from both presenters here, as far as the importance of learning about the programs offered at One Real Mortgage and how we can be of value to our clients, our buyer clients, because right now the power is really in their hands, and Real gives a lot of incentives to utilize our own mortgage company, which is a well-funded mortgage company. And we can get folks to the closing table fairly quickly. And we even have our own title company. So being able to control as many aspects of the transaction as possible, I think is going to be very, very important on the buyer side. So definitely get with Daniel in regards to that. And then if you want to learn more about how to talk to other agents with Real, as Malcolm says, we're all part of the same family tree. So he's an open book. He's very much available on the DMs on Instagram. You can email him if you have questions. Maybe you may not feel super confident about talking to a team or talking to an indie broker about Real. In many cases, if Malcolm has the time, he'll hop on the call and kind of fill in the gaps information-wise so that you are able to convey the value here at Real as articulate as possible. But each one teach one, y'all. And I think that the way that we grow as individuals, especially if we're in between transactions, is to help other agents win and to be at a brokerage where the brokerage will reward you for that in a non-salesy, non-pressure, just you got to produce anyway to get the benefit of it. Why not take advantage of something that's there for you just because you're an agent here at Real?